Hello and welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, the strategies, and the insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Rahul of Custom Creatives. How's it going, Rahul?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, for sure. Super glad to have you here. Rahul, I would love to just you start this off by learning a little bit more about you and your background, a little bit more about your agency.
Yeah, so like kind of like the movie Happy Gilmore. He was a hockey player playing golf. So I'm a soccer player playing the agency game. So it all comes and stems back from there. I came from like a sports background, wanted to go pro like a lot of people did, and then business became the sport. So I kind of took that drive, that tenacity, and that hunger into business. And I think that's one of the most important skill sets to have is the tenacity and the fortitude to understand time and patience reveals a lot of the journey. I see a lot of business owners and even agency owners that are our colleagues, if you will, just going after shiny objects, thinking that there is a silver bullet. But the reality is the shortcut is the longer process because that's the shortest way you can have the success. So I'll start off with that little bit of advice as we lean into like helping people, whoever watches this podcast. By the way, subscribe to this thing. It's a great one.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean that's really interesting because you not only you have an interesting background, and I'm sure you approach the agency life much like you did with sports and everything. But your agency's been around for a long time. I mean, 2004, so what, 21 years now almost. I mean, that's like dinosaurs in in the agency world. Usually they don't last that long. Obviously, I know you're staying relevant with like new technology and stuff. But I mean, Rahul, what's the secret to that? Like, how have you been around for that long and been delivering for clients?
It comes down to like the mindset of ourselves and our leadership team, and then also transferring that information and that drive into the people that we hire. We always have our foot on the gas pedal. We're kind of that company that's not necessarily we celebrate wins, but we're never satisfied. So we try to create and condone that kind of culture that there's more. Well, we there's mountaintops in business. You get to choose them. There's no ranking like in sports, if you will. But anytime we reach what we think is our next goal, we create these mountaintops, and then we just create a brand new one as soon as we're in striking distance to level it up. So again, this comes down to, aside from skill, it comes back to the drive of the person, their desires and their goals of them as a person. But then we also need to have skillful, artful people that understand consumer behavior, that understand trends do change. Coming from 20 years ago, just seeing that kind of transition from like offline to online as like a predominant transition during like my startup era. We just saw both sides. Like marketing, honestly, to me, has not necessarily changed a hell of a lot. It causes a lot of confusion, kind of like when the internet came out, we now stopped reading maybe physical papers and magazines. We got our news on our devices anywhere. But overall, I don't think a lot has changed in terms of the psychology of how to find customers in any industry. It's just the venue and the ease of use we have now. It just opens up more channels and more channels, but then the end audience calls it too much and overwhelming. But the reality is, it's overwhelming if you look at it as a body of things to do. But when you narrow things down into a priority and take one step forward, you'll find out how much more simpler it can be.
Yeah, and a lot of what you're saying, it's really interesting. You can tell where you like that discipline that comes from the sports world has really
Mm.
translated well. I mean, what are those some other things that have like really served you well from your past life in sports to this?
Family, I think that's the number one thing. Came from a good family, had high standards, Indian background like you are, right? Everything is like if you earn a dollar, you really earn 50 cents. If you want to buy a $30,000 car, you better have at least $60,000 in cash to be able to afford it. So we came from like a disciplined culture, if you will. And lucky for me, I have a picture of my dad over there, my late dad. I'll bring it over here in just a second, but it just says it's a poster that he used to tell me as a kid. It says, "Winners do it now, and 1 year from now, you'll wish you started today." So I kind of live and die by those words. There's other quotes that are meaningful for me, but that being the my mountaintop, and I don't think there's a higher mountaintop for me. That's my drive. have. I see it every day. It triggers my actions of the day because there are times where I feel like shit and I don't want to do anything. I just want to sleep in bed and turn the phone on, do not disturb. But as soon as I see that trigger, that wordplay that's in my face every single day, I have to walk by it multiple times per day. It just kind of creates that energy to kind of not waste the day because we are not promised tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And you can see, with your success that work has really paid off. You guys have collaborated with, some notable brands like Realtor.com, Geico, and even Advertise.com. I mean, what strategies have you like employed to attract and maintain relationships with such high profile clients? And how do you tailor your services to meet their unique needs?
Yeah, so like Realtor.com, like some may call it luck. I call it preparation meets opportunity. I happened to work there for a little bit and then I left the company. I actually coincidentally started my company in their parking lot and closed my first deal as I walked out. So that company has a lot of significance to me. It's a very meaningful role. I love the company, still do to this day. After several years of starting my agency, we were doing marketing work for a lot of real estate agents at that time, and a lot of them were Realtor.com clients. And we also did not compete. We did not want any cease and desist. We wanted to play in alignment where their yin, we're the yang, and they had some products and services that they didn't have and fulfill in-house that we identified and we knew of actually as I was an employee. So we started calling and helping those customers directly. It caught wind intentionally by our bottom up approach working with a public company. We started calling the sales reps and saying, hey, flip us these deals as you sell them so we can fulfill them in a day instead of them charging you back. So we found the pain point actually in the sales rep. They would sell these awesome, amazing marketing services. The customers didn't know how to use them or get them fulfilled. So we became that outlet. So there's a couple things that happened. Number one, we would make sure that when they got to us that they bought something really, really good if there was any buyer's remorse, because that happens. Number two, we would execute the project in real time so they can be up and running within a day or two. Three, the sales reps now didn't have to be at risk of a chargeback or angry customers, and they can have better conversations and make more sales. So I feel like we solved a big problem. And then that became a bigger problem because then one day the national vice president of sales and their head of operations called us in the office with their general counsel. And I thought I was there for just like a meeting. And I didn't know that they had already closed me without me even knowing it. I say they closed me because I accepted their offer. I didn't even make one. So I can't tell you. I was kind of disappointed, but happy at the same time because I hadn't slept for like 3 weeks preparing for this meeting, creating financial models, all these little packets and printed it in color. I was like, oh man, this is my first real big boy meeting as a young agency owner. And then all they really said is like, can you do it for this price? And if you can, we're done here. And I'm like, done. I'm like, we are ready to go. So that turned into like a multi-million-dollar deal, just that alone. But then we started realizing, okay, we're selling one-on-one to clients. Now I can go call 100 people in a day without breaking a sweat and make some sales. But then I'm like, this turned into, I mean, obviously it took a long time and being present in front of the sales reps, and they were the champions for me when the rubber met the road for them to make a bigger decision of getting an official vendor versus just refer out a bunch of people. We were actually the only persons that were allowed to do the work, and it was kind of mandatory that they use our company.
Yeah.
So then we realized, all right, well, I closed one deal, but then I inherited 100 salespeople selling these products. And when they sell this product, I get the deal anyways. What if I can go after a couple more people like that and be the back end office while also having a portfolio of direct clients? Because if shit goes wrong, we can't just be wiped out and have no company at the end of the day. Because that's happened 3 times over where we've had big, large accounts that are paying us millions in the year. And then there are primary accounts and then they go away. We were kind of left up shit creek and we had to bleed a little bit in terms of how do we not fire people as our first line of defense. Second is make more sales so we can afford to get back to paying them without having to go dipping into the piggy bank. So those were some lessons definitely learned. No matter how many times you hear it, you never think it'll happen to you. Kind of like crypto will never go down, right? Until it does. So same thing in business. What goes up will come down. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So it's just preparing. So I learned that lesson very, very well, loud and clear 3 times on multi-million-dollar deals. But getting the foot in the door became a game of confidence. Like I said, I went back to it's not necessarily the skill. Geico, luckily, they found us because we were also like typical marketing agencies are this: start marketing agency, cold call, cold email, DM, and network for marketing clients, but don't do marketing for yourself. I call that the shoemaker with no shoes. And we realized we're offering SEO and Facebook and paid ads to all these people, but we're not doing it for ourselves. So I kept thinking, I'm like, huh, what if our clients called us out and said, you sell us marketing, but you don't do it yourself. So it's good enough to take our money, but not good enough to do for yourself. So we started spending a bunch of money on our own marketing. So we took care of the backyard, and that's how we got attracted to the likes of Major League Baseball, National Hockey League, Geico, the NHL, and MLB. Unfortunately, we did not get those accounts, but we were in the game. We put ourselves in an opportunity to lose, which is a big win for me because now we knew how to learn from our mistakes. So whenever that opportunity ever came back up, we now know how to match those needs in those types of big boy leagues. But Geico came across, and I do the same thing with bigger opportunities over and over again because I know what they want. They want a vendor. And they
Mhm.
want their marketing and procurement department needs to call 10, 20, 30 people, which is a huge waste of time for them. And all they want is send us an RFP. And I don't do RFPs, period. I'm not going to do it for anybody. They take several hours. You're not guaranteed shit. You don't get to talk to decision makers. If they like what they see on a piece of paper, then they may bring you in for a final four meeting, then the final two, then the final one, and the odds are stacked against me. I looked at it as might as well buy a lottery ticket in that case. So I flipped my script on how I become interviewed when it comes to big opportunities, whether I reach them or they reach me. Is that you want this X thing? There's a lot of volume. You're looking for a preferred partner, a lock-in period of a minimum of a year. We just do the thing for free. Say, hey, why don't we just, instead of going through the long back and forth process, why don't I just do what you've described you want to see if I'm even in the ball game to be a appropriate vendor? And I'd only pick and choose those battles when I knew I was going to win. And then
Mhm.
every time I did that, I already wiped out all the other interviews. And then they just came back to me. And I have a very simple thing. There is no contract. You have a price card and you have an on-file credit card. So anytime you submit an order, we bill you, then we execute. And we have an intake form that every one of your people that are going to be submitting deals to us or information to us fills in this Google form specific to your needs. And then we're off to the races. So we did that with a lot of people. So we would literally say, Shiv, whenever you have an order, tell us the quantity of units, give us the invoice number, give us the specifications of what you need, all in this simple form. Then our guys would just do it and be done in about a matter of 2 days. Yeah, and then some people needed, like in this case, it was landing pages and banner ads for their digital marketing campaigns, for display campaigns. They put in 10 a list of I need 10 units, same exact design, just different sizes. Our cost basis to them was cheaper than they can find anywhere else. We kind of hit all three chords at once with this particular product set. Was we were cheaper, we were faster, and we were better. Typically, you don't get all three, but I decided to drop the price to make sure that there was absolutely no friction. If we were going to be fired, it would not be overpriced,
Wow.
for something else, and not the quality. But anyways, that's what we do. They pop in an order of 10 for one client. There's swipe the card for 2,500. Another order would come in for 10 grand, swipe the card for 10. And we just created a very seamless process because I explained to them the way we pass on our savings of better pricing, better people, and faster turnaround time is because we decided not to employ a collection or an accounting department. That's why our billing practices are the way they are. We don't need to invoice. We didn't need to wait for a check. We don't need to wait for a direct deposit. Place the order, run it, off we go. So I kind of simplified the friction in that process.
Wow. One of the big things that I heard in there was learning lessons, right? Learning business lessons, whatever it was. And I know on your end, you mentor other digital agency owners. I'm assuming a lot from a lot of this comes from the lessons that you've learned and you've helped them build six-figure businesses through your GSD sales method. I would love, I mean, everything you're saying it sounds very unique, and I would love if you could elaborate a little bit more on the core principles of this method and if you guys have any success stories from the mentorship program, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, like I'll give you two extremes. We had one client who was a very successful contractor that built pools for a living. He decided he no longer wanted to build pools. So one of him and his colleague decided, hey, these systems are so screwed up in this industry. Why don't we build a system for custom pool builders? Then they somehow found us through an ad and decided to commit to us. So we started mentoring them. And these guys were like, after their success, I asked them a question. Had you not come across the GSD, what would have happened to the company? Both of them had the same exact answer. We would have disbanded, not done anything. We would have dissolved the company and gone our separate ways and probably been pool men still. Yeah. So essentially, let me get back to the story. Within 2 months, these guys had the architecture. They just lost the motivation and the burnout. And they're kind of were like they had the pieces. They were just all over the place. It was like chapter one is here, then chapter 17 is next, then chapter two is next, then chapter 34 is next. So it was kind of all there, but all out of order. So we just had to kind of dissect their talents, their desires, and their goals, but then see what they had to be able to put it in like a GPS system. So they had a roadmap. Next thing you know, 2 months later, they hit $1 million annual run rate. Selling $60,000 to $120,000 a year marketing and systems to pool builders. So
Wow.
they knew their avatar really, really well. They were just very, very confused. Now, let me go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Stay-at-home mom, 3 children, just went through a $5,000 mentorship program teaching people Facebook ads. They didn't teach them Facebook ads. They told them how to do it probably the exact opposite of how you're supposed to run any kind of marketing campaign because it was kind of the blind leading the blind. For whatever reason, her tenacity was really cool because she just got out of that program, probably leaning into the tail end of the last week there, and she wanted to make something work from being sick and tired of being home with the kids and probably had a job before and had some significance. And now she's raised the kids. The kids are old enough. She wants that significance back. Mentored her up. Her first 2 months with us, she got to 19,500 in recurring revenue.
Wow.
Yeah, going from literally zero. And that's somebody who didn't have an offer, didn't have a niche, didn't have anything set up. Where my partner, who does our onboarding post acquisition, client acquisition, she's just like, I'm open to anything. I'm just going to drink your Kool-Aid. I'm going to forget everything from my past. I don't have anybody I target. So we just gave her the industry and the offer and the price points. And then
No.
she was off and running. We just gave her the guidance and the direction and the mentorship. And she showed up to every one of our calls, like was very greedy with our time and took advantage of everything which we told her to do. And next thing you know, she got her shit together and was making probably, I imagine, 2 times, maybe 3 times more than her husband.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
What does GSD stand for? What are the core principles?
Yeah, so it stands for get shit done. So that's kind of like probably one of the worst names you could possibly name it for a mentorship program. But this goes back, this is my selfishness. It goes back to my soccer days where that's what we'd always say is like right before every game. It's like, let's handle biz and get shit done.
Yeah.
We're gonna mop the floor with these guys. And when it comes to business, we kind of took that mentality is that well, we want to get shit done. We're a tenacious group, we're a hungry group, and we want to attract other hungry people that have different goals, but their own goals that want to be a part of that culture. But our culture is there's always a solution to every problem. We just have to be resourceful enough to find it or get somebody to help us find it.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. I mean, I love that. And that's the biggest thing, right? It just takes like most people just delay the starting or the getting it done, and
Hmm.
they delay it for so long. And then once you actually do it, you're like, it wasn't that bad. And the fact that you help people overcome that aspect, I think is one of the most important things. But Rahul, this has been fantastic. I mean, I feel like I could talk to you forever. Where can people learn more about you? Where can people learn more about your agency?
Yeah, the agency is Custom Creatives with an S at the end, customcreatives.com. Look me up on Facebook or LinkedIn, Rahul Alim. Hopefully I'm one of one that pop up. But yeah, you'll be able to see me. Just look for this face, but maybe not, maybe shaven without the gray.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for being on. This is awesome.
Yep, thanks for having me.